Hey everybody, this is Zachary Jeans. Let's keep walking through the Bible. So today is day number 386. We are wrapping up, Lord willing, the book of Numbers. And we will be beginning Deuteronomy tomorrow. So yeah, thank you so much for getting through Numbers with me. I know it can be tedious at times because there are many, many laws that were very specific to the people of Israel moving through the wilderness and into the promised land. And although there is some representation of those ideas and laws, of course, in our New Testament faith in Christ, in his redemption, work on the cross, and so on and so forth, like we don't have to clean and wash bulls and rams and goats, and we aren't offering turtle doves, for the birth of kids and whatnot. So I know at times it can seem pretty overwhelming and just kind of like, wow, why am I reading this? It's okay. There, we got through it and we're going to keep trucking, and Lord willing, we'll get through Deuteronomy not too shortly. We'll be into more Deuteronomy. I think you'll find is more of a narrative. I love Deuteronomy. It's one of my favorite books in the entire Bible. And I know everybody says, oh, this is my favorite book. But let's be honest, Leviticus and Numbers aren't your favorite books in the Bible. There's some cool stories in there, interesting things, but, probably not high on your list. But Deuteronomy is one of my favorite books, and I'm looking forward to it. Then from there on out, Joshua and Judges, and, we're going to get into a lot of narrative. That is a lot of storytelling. So-and-so did this, God said that. They were obedient, they weren't obedient. This is what happened afterwards. There's lots of that. And so it's interesting. You can draw a lot of descriptive intelligence from it, a lot of ideas and wisdom from those stories, and understanding our relationship that we have with God. And even perhaps in a more pronounced way now that we have God's Holy Spirit living inside of us because we put our trust in Jesus. So we have that supernatural relationship with God that not all these people had. They knew God, they knew of God, they knew his ways. They did not have his living spirit existing within them supernaturally. They didn't have that. There were times when God's spirit would come upon them, empower them, but it wasn't a indwelling, a living with, which we have the benefit of if you have faith in Jesus. So before we get started, just want to say thank you. Thank you for love. Thank you for hitting that like button. Of course, I appreciate those who are subscribed over on YouTube. And I have about 67 subscribers, and I get about 12 views per video on average. And so I know I got about 12 solid viewers. And then of course, every now and then I get folks checking in from different platforms. I appreciate you so much. If you're over on Facebook and you never head over there, that's totally fine too. No guilt trip. So appreciate your prayers. Pray for God to bless the teaching of Deuteronomy as we go forward. It's a whole new book, and, definitely need God's blessing for that. So why don't we do that now? Let me get a sip of coffee and let's pray. And then we'll get going here. We're going to be in Numbers chapter 35 and 36. Lord, I love you. God, thank you, Papa, for this word. Thank you for your holy word, Father. God, thank you for living inside me. God, thank you for your patience with me. I am not a perfect man. I get tired. I'm weak. My mind wanders. I'm rebuking sinful thoughts all the time, Lord. Lord, you are so good. You're so gracious. You're so kind. God, I pray that you pour out your spirit on everybody around here that are taking time to get in your word. And Lord, it's in your name, Jesus, that we pray. Amen. All right. Well, okay. Why don't you open up Numbers? Now, if you like to pause, go ahead and do so and read through chapter 35, 36. We will read the bulk of what's here. There is some repetitive nature when he's talking about murder. And, there's a little bit of repetitiveness here when we're going to talk about cities. But it's not too overwhelming or numbing, right? It's not like reading the phone book, okay? So why don't we open up chapter 35, verse 1. And if you're just rejoining me after reading, thank you for taking the time to do so. All right. The Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, command the people of Israel to give to the Levites some of the inheritance of their possession as cities for them to dwell in. Okay, now if you remember, all the tribes, and we didn't go through detail after detail after detail, but all the tribes, they get lands. They get, the promised land is going to be carved up. Those who have a lot of people going to get a bigger piece of land. Those who don't have as many people will get a smaller piece of land. But nonetheless, they're all getting some land. All right. And it's going to be pretty strict about like, hey, here's your border. If you're from the tribe of Reuben, okay, or if your tribe is Simeon, this is your border, or Gad, or whatever. But you have the Levites, okay, the tribe of Levi, one of the sons of Jacob, and Levi is a servant of the Lord in carrying out all the things that have to be moved here and there and dealt with the animals, and essentially serving the Aaronic priesthood. So they aren't the priests themselves, but they're going to handle all the stuff at the tabernacle, and they are essentially servants of the religious culture, okay? So they aren't going to get their own, situation where, they have their own chunk of land, okay? They don't have that kind of inheritance. So how is the Lord going to deal with these people? What's he going to do with all of them? So they're not all men who are between the ages of 30 and 50 serving in the priesthood or in a former priesthood. Not priests, but carrying out everything. So how are you going to deal with all these folks? Well, you shall give to the Levites pasture lands around the cities, okay? Command the people of Israel to give to the Levites some of the inheritance of their possession as cities for them to dwell in, and you shall give to the Levites pasture lands around the cities. The cities shall be theirs to dwell in, and their pasture land shall be for their cattle and for their livestock and for all their beasts. The pasture lands of the cities, which you shall give to the Levites, shall reach from the wall of the city outward 1,000 cubits all around. Cubits, about 1.5 feet, okay? So 1,000 or 1,500 feet, maybe is a better way to say it, roughly. All around, and you shall measure outside the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, and on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits. All right, so 2,000 times 1.5, so it's 1,500. That's 3,000. All right, 3,000 feet. This shall belong to them as their pasture land for their cities. The cities that you give to the Levites shall be the 6 cities of refuge, where you shall permit the manslayer to flee. Somebody who's been involved in the death of somebody else, okay? And in addition to them, you shall give 42 cities, okay? So they get 6 cities of the Levites are going to be cities of refuge for those involved in the death of a person, whether intentional or unintentional. We're going to get into that. And then they're going to have, in addition to those 6 cities, they're going to have 42 cities. So 48 cities in total with their pasture lands. And as for the cities that you shall give them possession of the people of Israel, from the larger tribes you shall take many, and from the smaller tribes you shall take few, each in proportion to the inheritance that it inherits. That's a mouthful. Shall give of its cities to the Levites. So look, Gad's going to give fewer than, say, Reuben, okay? In some ways, we do the same thing with our congressional districts, right? Larger states get more Congress people, and they serve in the United States, U.S. Congress in the House. But each state gets 2 representatives in the Senate. So there is an equality at the Senate, and there are less members. And in our Congress, depending on population size, each state gets a representative per number of 100 and something, I think it's 200 and something thousand or 180,000 people, or something like that. There's a certain number of people that equates for one congressional seat in our U.S. system of government. And here you have a system of, hey, you're a smaller tribe, or measure it out, you're going to hand over a lesser number of cities to these Levites. And if you're a bigger population, you're going to get more land and therefore more cities. Therefore, you have more to offer, and you'll have a disproportionate in terms of number, but not to your population, to hand over to the Levites. And remember, the Levites serve all of the people of Israel. And so the Levites are going to be spread out over all the tribes of Israel, okay? And outside of those who are traveling and in terms of to various feasts and whatnot down the line, for the most part, these people hang out in their own land. They don't, it's not like you jump on an airplane and go, fly to see, some relative in some other land. There's a lot of hanging out where you're from, okay? Tribe of Benjamin hangs out Tribe of Benjamin. And the tribe of Gad hangs out where the tribe of Gad is. But the Levites are spread throughout Israel. Those who serve the Lord are spread throughout and serve the people of Israel. And the Lord spoke to Moses, verse 9, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you cross the Jordan, that's the river, into the land of Canaan, then you shall select cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the manslayer who kills any person without intent may flee there. The city shall be for you a refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer may not die until he stands before the congregation for judgment. And the cities that you give shall be your 6 cities of refuge. You shall give 3 cities beyond the Jordan and 3 cities in the land of Canaan to be cities of refuge. These cities shall be for refuge for the people of Israel, and for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that anyone who kills any person without intent may flee there. I think it's interesting. The Lord keeps having Moses write down here, without intent, without intent, without intent. Okay? And yet, even though it's assumed or presumed, in a sense here, without intent, there will be a judgment. There will be an actual hearing in a case brought against the person, and they will have the opportunity to defend themselves against witnesses. And it will be determined whether or not that their actions that led to the death of somebody was misplaced, or if it was accurate and it was accidental, or if it was accurate and it was intentional. And therefore their unintentional nature will be flipped to intentional, and they will be judged. All right. But if he, this is the manslayer, if he struck him down with an iron object, metal object, so that he died, he is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. And if he struck him down with a stone tool that caused death, and he died, he is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. Or if he struck him down with a wooden tool that could cause death, and he died, he is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. The avenger of blood shall himself put the murderer to death. When he meets him, he shall put him to death. And if he pushed him out of hatred, or hurled through something at him, lying in wait so that he died, or in enmity struck him down with his hand so that he died, then he who struck the blow shall be put to death. He is a murderer. The avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death when he meets him. But if he pushed him suddenly without, so we're going to go through if he did it intentionally and did it without intention. I think it's interesting here. So you have those who did it unintentionally, and somebody dies, and maybe somebody's walking along and they're jostled, and somebody trips next to you and falls into the road, and an ox runs them over, It's unintentional on the person who accidentally bumped into him, and it's unintentional on the person driving the ox cart, right? And so in that case, those people flee, or one of them flees to one of these cities, these 6 cities of the Levites. In the case of somebody who's literally been struck down with like an iron rod or, baseball bat of sorts, it's like, hey, you did that with intention. And somebody who's the avenger of that person's life is given license to hunt him down and kill him. I'm sure, without a doubt, that there are all kinds of ancillary rules that are adjacent to this law that the people of Israel wrote down, no doubt. And that many of our laws in our country are based on Judeo-Christian principles, which are derived from the law and then interpreted and sort of understood through the New Testament, and then expressed in our U.S. judicial court system. Imperfectly, no doubt, but they're there. And so, right to a trial, right to a opportunity to not be considered guilty, opportunity to know what is intentional and unintentional, that justice will be done for somebody's life, that it has value, and that life has value that was taken, and that the person who took it has to be judged. These concepts are in our justice today, and they're present here as God is telling Moses about what to say. So verse 22, but if he, this is the manslayer, this person who committed a death, if he pushed him suddenly without enmity, or hurled anything on him without lying in wait, or used a stone that could cause death, and without seeing him dropped it on him, or so that he died, though he was not his enemy and did not seek his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the manslayer and the avenger of blood, in accordance with these rules. And the congregation shall rescue the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of blood. And the congregation shall restore him to his city of refuge to which he had fled. And he shall live in it until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with the holy oil. But if the manslayer shall at any time go beyond the boundaries of his city of refuge to which he fled, and the avenger of blood finds him outside the boundaries of his city of refuge, and the avenger of blood kills the manslayer, he shall not be guilty of blood, for he must remain in his city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the manslayer may return to the land of his possession. And these things shall be for a statute and rule for you throughout all your generations and all your dwelling places. Okay, listen. Seems radical and crazy, right? But here's the deal. It's kind of like work release with a low max or low security prison. If you're innocent, you didn't do this for any intentionality. You weren't the enemy of the person and somebody died, but there's obviously family and those who want to avenge the death of the person. And it's the job of the congregation of Israel, and we're not talking about a church. When they use the word congregation, we're talking about the people, right? Court cases are being tried all over the place. There's a famous one in New York going on with the next president. And it's always the people versus so-and-so. And you're like, wait a minute, I'm not a part of that case, or what people are they talking about? And it's like, sometimes in a court, they'll say the court, or there's a couple other terms that they'll use to broadly speak of, say, the state of New York or the state of Oregon or whatever. And they will be like, this court case is from us and it's prosecuting it against this person. Vice versa, it might go the other way. It might be a person versus the state, the people. And even though you and I maybe did nothing wrong, we as the body collective of that people group, of that state, are being represented in defense of this accusation by a claimant, right? Somebody who's felt like the state did them harm, or someone within government or attributed to the state that you live in did harm. Therefore, when they sue, maybe they aren't suing you directly, but you as part of the body politic, right, living in that state, are wrapped up in the title, the people. So, but here we have the congregation that is responsible for protecting this person and essentially making a statement that we are going to protect the rights and the freedom of this person if they were not found guilty of committing murder with intentionality. They did not premeditate this murder. It was accidental. And they're allowed then, this person is allowed to live in one of these 6 cities of refuge. Caveat is they have to live there probably a long time, the duration of the life of the high priest. Now, you might find the high priest, you get wrapped up in a trial and you go to live in this city of refuge, and lo and behold, the high priest dies 2 years later and you're allowed to go back to where you're from. It implies here that the avenger wants to kill this person. Okay. And it's implied that if this person leaves, not implied, it's stated that if this person leaves this city of refuge, okay, and the avenger is hanging outside or finds them, say, maybe at one of the feasts, this person decides to up and leave the city of refuge and go to one of the feasts, it's kind of implied here or stated that this avenger has the opportunity and right to kill that person, to avenge the death, even though they are found unintentionally guilty. Seems a little crazy, but I think this is the thing which chooses to enforce punishment still and show how valuable a person's life is, right? That's why we have varying degrees of murder charges or death charges, degrees of manslaughter, right? That's why we have the manslayer, we have the word manslaughter, the death of a person caused by another person. Now, we have, premeditated murder is the number one, right? That's number one here. And that one we're not talking about when we're talking about this sort of city of refuge thing. That person's supposed to be put to death. No question. Like in the Bible, no question. Case needs to be adjudicated, I guess, but even there, it's kind of like this person committed the crime. There's no time, right? But in the case of an unintentional murder or death, right, this person is given an opportunity to go be judged by a court, by the congregation, protected. If they're found not guilty of premeditating the murder, then they're allowed to go and be a part of a city of refuge. They got to stay there until the high priest passes away and a new one's anointed. And so then they can return to where they're from. I presume that the avenger then is not allowed to go kill them, because then they would be guilty of murder. But should they leave before that high priest passes, well, it's fair game. So there you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and skip the rest of the murder charges. We'll come down to marriage of female heirs. Now, if you're going to remember here, you have the daughters of the daughters of Z. We'll go there. Okay, remember the daughters? And we're going to read a little bit about, with these lands and how they're shared, and you got that year of Jubilee, and, things go back to the original owners and all this stuff. So there's a good question that's brought up here at the end of Numbers. The heads of the father's house, this is chapter 36, verse 1. The heads of the father's houses of the clan of the people of Gilead, the son of Machir, son of Manasseh, from the clans of the people of Joseph, came near and spoke before Moses and before the chiefs, the heads of the father's houses of the people of Israel. So you got tribe of Joseph, Manasseh, right? It's funny, we don't call the tribe of Manasseh the tribe of Joseph, but that's what it is. Remember, it was one of his sons, but Joseph being Israel's son, Jacob's son, we call Joseph's tribe, the tribe of Joseph, Manasseh. Okay? So they come near, and they said, the Lord commanded my Lord to give the land for an inheritance by lot, by lottery, to the people of Israel. And my Lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of Z, our brother, to his daughters. But if they are married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the people of Israel, then the daughters' inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our fathers and added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry. So it will be taken away from the lottery of our inheritance. And when the Jubilee of the people of Israel comes, then their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe to which they marry, and their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers. These daughters whom Moses and the Lord, through Moses, granted to keep their father's inheritance because they didn't have any brothers or there was no, patriarchy to pass it down through. And I know that's a real sticky word right now, but that's the way that the family line continued on. God, through Moses, said something very progressive, that these women were allowed to maintain their family's inheritance. Now, when they marry, the question became, should they marry outside of the tribe of Manasseh, Joseph, to say Reuben or Simeon or whatnot? Then that family, that male, would then assume the family, they would fall into that family name, and so would everything that they own. It would be shared in concert together, but it would be passed down through the male line, right? So these leaders are like, man, we see a problem here because there could be some like strategic stuff going on where you marry this person and they have a nice farm, then you sort of slide it over into our family and you're like, oh, that's weird. But it's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years outside of the tribes of Israel. I mean, look at Europe, look at United States, look at anywhere. Right? There was the Killers of the Flower Moon, the movie about the Oklahoma land of oil. It was oil, but eventually it's gas too, natural gas. But oil was discovered, and all these tribes had been moved out there through Trail of Tears and whatnot, to leave their homelands. And the U.S. was like, hey, go live out in this dead brown poisonous place called Oklahoma at the time. And these tribes are like out there, and then all of a sudden oil's discovered. And in most cases, a lot of tribes just kind of got moved around and out of the way and this and that. But there's this one tribe that sort of incorporated itself. So each individual member of that tribe then owned a portion of their oil rights individually. So then what happened is you have all these like entrepreneurial minded scumbags who left different places all over the U.S. to go marry into some of these families and then murder some of the other family members that were like trying to get in on the deal, or in their case, maybe their spouse that they just married, they'd have them taken out. And then lo and behold, you got this scumbag guy who all of a sudden owns what was the inheritance of this Indian tribe, this Native American tribe. And it's really, to a degree, this is the fear, granted not about oil, but this is the fear of this family. It's like the tribe of Joseph, like, well, wait a minute. Whoa, just in this one little case here, the daughters of Z, what happens if they marry out? And then all their stuff kind of goes, all of our family, like our tribe's inheritance, ends up in some other tribe. So Moses answers, the tribe of the people of Joseph is right. This is what the Lord commands concerning the daughters of Z. Let them marry whom they think best, only they shall marry within the clan of the tribe of their father. So they got to stay in-house. The inheritance of the people of Israel shall not be transferred from one tribe to another, for every one of the people of Israel shall hold, onto the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every daughter who possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the people of Israel shall be wife to one of the clan of the tribe of her father, so that every one of the people of Israel may possess the inheritance of his fathers. So no inheritance shall be transferred from one tribe to another, for each one of the tribes of the people of Israel shall hold on to its own inheritance. All right. So, hey, till next time, we're going to start day 387. We're going to start the book of Deuteronomy. Such a good book. All right. Keep walking, all right? God bless you. Bye-bye.